Over to you, Martin.
Right, so hopefully this is a good volume. Tom, can you hear me at the back? Good, happy. Right, so Martin Lee, I'm here to talk about Rancher, how we're using it in production at Billforward. So first off, who am I? Martin Lee. I'm the SRE stroke DevOps stroke Linux sysadmin at Billforward. Been at Billforward for a year. We still haven't come up with the job title. I've been a Linux sysadmin for 12 years, although I took a 6-year career break. My previous job, I was a warfare officer in the Royal Navy. And that's given me a full and thorough understanding of all the different ways we use container terminology. Billforward. We're a London and San Francisco-based enterprise billing startup, backed by Y Combinator, and you probably process transactions through us. So our clients include Docker, CoreOS, and Cloudflare. Our API is developer first. The idea is you can build a billing platform on it of any scale to handle pretty much any billing problem you've got. So generating invoices, that sort of thing, and anything enterprise. So assumptions, we're going to start from a baseline. We've only got 30 minutes, and hopefully this is enough controversy to kick off the next session as well. So first off, automation is good. Hopefully you all agree. If you don't, wrong meetup. Or wrong career. Containers are good. Well, show of hands earlier proved you might not all agree, but hopefully I've got some of you. Docker is a good platform for containers, but if you are using containers, you're probably using Docker at the moment. And that Kubernetes has won the orchestration wars, which again, hopefully might stir up some debate for the next session. But it's true. It's on website now, it's on Azure, it's on AWS, it's on Google, it's absolutely everywhere. Everyone is using Kubernetes. So what's Rancher? Well, according to their own website, they're a complete container management platform. To us at Billforward, it's the system that we use to orchestrate containers, and it makes orchestrating containers really easy for us. To understand it, view it as an abstraction layer. So in the beginning, we had containers, and they were good, but they weren't very easy to use. So along came Docker, and Docker made containers easy, and you could just put all your stuff in a tarball and add some metadata and ship it off, and now you can run your container anywhere. But you've still got problems. You've got to health check it, you've got to scale it, you've got to service it, you've got to get the logs out of it, you've got to get data into it, you've got to network them together. And it's a headache. So along comes Swarm and Kubernetes and systems like that, and they let you orchestrate your Docker containers. So as Docker is to containers, Swarm is to Docker. Rancher is that relationship to Kubernetes. So Rancher lets you admin your Kubernetes clusters, put them where you want them, put them how you want them, administrate them how you want them, and get them running in the right place. But it doesn't explain why you want to use Rancher. So when you start using Kubernetes, you're going to Google for other people's blog posts. And one that you'll definitely find is this one from Julia Evans, who pretty recently, right, so 3 months ago, with all the cool new tools that are out for administrating Kubernetes, said that this takes a lot of time to do it reliably, and to do it securely, and to do it reproducibly, and to do it in a way that probably won't fail 3 months down the line, in a way that you can't recover from, because you've no idea what's going on inside Kubernetes. In the same blog post, she said that to get to a place where they were comfortable running production code on Kubernetes took 3 engineers full-time for 5 months. And that wasn't something that we really wanted to get into. We wanted to get going as quickly as possible, but in a way that we knew was secure and we knew was reliable. So we thought there's 3 ways. And again, I've said the 3 ways, so lots of discussion for the next one. Vanilla Kubernetes, do it yourself. You set up your etcd cluster, you set up your networking overlay, you choose a networking overlay. That could take you 5 months easily. And you get everything running yourself, and you've got a cluster you know inside out. You probably have to set up a PKI and get your SSL certificates. There are shortcuts, but if you really want to understand it, you make it yourself, and you follow Kelsey Lightow's Kubernetes the hard way GitHub repo. Vendor distributions. Someone else has done that already. Vendor distributions, so you've got Rancher, Tectonic, OpenShift, things like that. A little easier to use, a little less flexible. You can't do everything yourself now, but it's packaged together. They've given you a network overlay that works. They've given you a storage overlay that works. They've given you a scheduler that works. They put it all in one bundle, they give it to you, you set it up and run it. And it's supported, and there's documentation. And your colleagues can use it without asking you in 5 seconds. Platform as a service. So when we first looked at it a year ago, there were two, really. There was ECS and there was GKE, so Elastic Cloud, Elastic Container Service from AWS, and Google's Kubernetes engine. And again, I may have mentioned Kubernetes 1. Now, Azure and Amazon support Kubernetes. You've got EKS and AKS. And those, again, less flexible, but easier. You can get a Google Kubernetes cluster set up in a single click, and it's done. So we had to choose one. Vanilla Kubernetes we discounted. It was going to take us too much time to get to a place where we were confident that we could put production code on it. Skip ahead, platform as a service, we discounted. We had hardware in OpenStack, we had hardware in Azure, we had hardware in Google Cloud, we had hardware in AWS. And we like to be highly available, we like to be resilient, we don't like all our eggs in one basket, and that was enough that the trade-off of going to GKE, even though I was a massive proponent at the time, CTO said this evening, talk me down, and we went with Rancher. And we found that to be, it was really the Goldilocks zone. I was happy to find ourselves in between those two. You've got easy, hard, and flexible, not flexible. This was right in the middle for us. And it worked. So I'm the project lead for Rancher, and I spend about 2 to 4 hours a week running it, and that's more than enough. And if anything were to happen to me, anyone could step into my shoes at Billforward, and Rancher's got the documentation, and it's got the vendor support, and that's great. And it's turned me into this man. I am the one-man wolfpack of Rancher administration at Billforward. So we'll go into a demo authentication, or an example. So first off, authentication in Kubernetes. You search the docs, find them online, and they're really good. They're thorough. But you want to use LDAP, so you press Command F and you type in LDAP and you find this page and you think, well, I can use one of those. So authentication proxy, authentication webhook, let's have a look. And there's the webhook one, and you look at that and think, oh good, there's 2 pages of it. And then you think, there was another one, there's another one, I've got another tab open, let's go to the authentication proxy. Yeah, no, I don't get that either. So you turn to the only friend you ever had. And if you're lucky, you've got a couple more friends you can talk to. Yeah. And they tell you, well, there's this project that we use to just plug it in. And you have a look at it, and it's got 22 stars, and it hasn't had a pull request closed in the last 6 months, and it's all a bit dodgy. So you find another one that no one really likes it or talks about it, and so you ask the whole world. And they go ahead and they tell you to RTFM. And now you've had restarted. So let's look at Rancher, how we do this in Rancher. You've got a page. Click on the page, type in some details. Now you haven't got flexibility. You've got 6 options. But of those, you've got Active Directory, you've got GitHub, and you've got LDAP. And I put money on the fact that that's going to sort most organizations out. It's going to fit in with something you've already invested a lot of time and effort into. So yeah, Kubernetes is an option. I'm not saying it's not. Loads of people are running it very happily. But I am saying that without the management platform, without something happening for you, it might not be worth the time that you have to put into it to get the benefits. So it comes down to ease of use versus flexibility. GKE, really easy to use, not the most flexible. You're on Google Cloud, same for AKS, EKS. Vanilla Rancher, not particularly easy to use, let's be honest, but incredibly flexible. I mean, you saw the documentation for how you can do authentication. Amazing. But you might not want to do that. So Rancher, ease of use versus flexibility, that's the trade-off. So to move on from me talking at you, I'm going to try and do a live demo. So wish me luck. And let's set up and mirror my screens. How did that first time? How's that for font size? No one can read that at all, can they? Let's make that slightly bigger.
I'm old.
Too big.
Too big? Oh. Move further away. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up a Rancher server. So I will move to the right server. So this is 1604 Ubuntu in AWS. Nothing fancy, just install Docker on it. And I'll take this command and run that. And all I've got is docker run, branch server, stable. And if we have a look at the logs, it starts doing its thing. And the first thing it does is it brings up a database, or it looks for a database. So you pass it in as an environment variable. We use RDS. If you choose not to, it'll run its own MySQL server built right into the container. Now, they don't recommend it for production, but for getting started, or for testing it, or for running a local dev environment, that's perfect. Next thing it does, it uses Nickelbase plot state database for you. Then it looks at the database and it says, if there are already references in there, who are the other Rancher servers in my cluster? And so it'll talk to them and say who's in charge, who's dealing with this. And that way you can get HA on Rancher. So our production setup looks a bit like, we have RDS, we have 2 servers in RDS, multi-AZ, high availability, and we've got multiple Rancher servers, multiple hosts in an auto-scaling group, and that works absolutely perfectly for us. So, should be up and running now, so I can go to Rancher demo, and yeah, it worked. So it gives you this, and there's a red exclamation mark telling you self-authentication, which, let's just do that locally, and hopefully I can race everyone else in the room who's trying to lock me out at the moment. Go away, one password. There we go. So it prompts you to add a host. Let's make that a bit bigger. A bit better on that one, isn't it? Prompting us to add a host. So we do that. And first it asks us for the URL. If you've got it behind a load balancer, you have to make some decisions. We don't. There's a few ways you can do it. So it's got Docker machine drivers. So EC2, you give it an access key and a secret key. Azure, you give it similar sort of set of information, and it will just go and build out that machine for you and start it up, start a health check on it. What we're going to do here is we're going to use custom, and it pretty much talks to you what you need to do. So you need to file the traffic. So port 500 and 4500 need to be available between the Rancher hosts. It uses IPsec. It gives you that overlay networking using IPsec. You can also use VXLAN or whatever else works for you. So I'm going to run this on the same machine. So now I've got MySQL, the Rancher server, and the Rancher agent all running on the same machine. Not a production setup, but really easy to get going, and it works on your laptop. And the other host screen has disappeared, which is brilliant. So I can now go over to that host, and it's starting everything up. It pulls down health check, pulls down the scheduler. So go to where I'm meant to talk about things. So the health check is built in. You'll see down here there's a couple of standalone containers. So Peaceful Bassy, that's our Rancher server. So if you already have Docker containers running on the system which install the Rancher agent, Rancher will just adopt them. And it will let you do all the Ranchery things with them. It won't stamp over them, and it won't overwrite them, and it won't stop them. And from this UI, which you can give to your developers, you can permission it, you can access control it. You can now do things like view the logs of your containers. And you can execute a shell in your containers. And for quick troubleshooting, for getting a shell up, for having a look at the output of a log, that's really good. You can do the same with the Rancher CLI, and I'll get into that a bit later. But the first thing I want to do is start the service. So again, it'll try and talk you through it. I'm just going to hit add a stack, and we'll just call it website, and hit go. And now I've got a stack, we'll add a service to it. And just to get going, we'll call it, we'll pull down the Nginx image because that one's going to be quick. And hit create. And now it's activated the service with 0 containers, it's pulled down the container, it started it, the container has passed its initial health check, and it's running. It's got 1 container. But there's nothing much I can do with it, I can't get to it. So let's map a host call to it. Obviously, in production, you might want to consider a load balancer, but for demo, this works well. So this is the upgrade screen. It's very similar to the screen that you just saw me use to define the service the first time. And in here, I can do all the stuff that you might want to do in your Docker Compose or Rancher Compose file or your Kubernetes definition. So you can patch volumes through. You can talk about how you want the networking to run. You can add secrets. You can, so secrets passing as environment variables. You can put the resource limits that you need. But all I'm going to do now is map a port. and I hit upgrade. And what it does is, depending on the policy you've set, so you can have start before stopping or stop then start, if you've got things that can't overlap, or you can have run once or restart always. Generally, it'll stop the container and start the new one with what you wanted. So I'm happy with upgrade, hit approve. If not, I can roll back. And it's picked up the right pool, which it has, which is amazing. There we go. Nginx in AWS, running in a Docker container. And I didn't even have to time it. It's really nice. But the CLI, so if you're like us, you want to do some sort of CI and CD with Docker. Having a GUI is all well and good, but it's not going to scale. So in here, I've got the Rancher binary installed already. You just download it and put it in your path. That's nice and easy. Again, can you all read that, or is that a bit? There we go. And I've got a couple of files now. I've got the Docker Compose YAML and a Rancher Compose .yaml. And the Docker Compose looks like you'd expect it to. The Rancher Compose covers all the stuff that you need from other sources.
Martin, can you close the window that way? It's not going to screen.
Yeah. Let's try that. I've actually got it full screen, so.
Yeah.
I went the wrong way, didn't I? There we go. That's good there. That's good there. Happy. Okay, so I've got Docker and Rancher Compose. Docker Compose looks like it's supposed to do your extra Rancher labels, and then your Rancher Compose is where you put your health check definitions, your scaling definitions, everything that's unique to how you want the scheduler to treat your containers. And I can simply Rancher up that. No, I can't. I can't use CLI because I haven't authored myself, so that was probably another stage in the presentation. There we go, let's go to API keys. Let's try that again. Okay, so I can add an API key. Call it demo, and I can do that in another order. So we'll Rancher config. Let's do that so you can be able to see it. It says you can only see it once, you can believe it. Enter an access key and a secret key. And there we go. So now I can Rancher PS, there we go. And I can Rancher logs. That's servicing itself already, and there won't be much in there, there's no the website. All I can do in this folder with the Compose is I can hit Rancher up, and it begins to do things. And I go over to my stacks, and there is hello from the other side. That didn't go down as well as I was hoping. And it's running up away to 10 like I asked it to, and there we go, welcome to Nginx, fantastic. We can upgrade it, so I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did originally. I'm going to do that with the CLI now. So we can play with the Docker Compose.yaml. I've just realized I'm not using bash, I'm using ZSH, I'm sorry. And we can change the form, but not to that because that's not in the Bible. There we go. Quite easy. Let's spell. And it upgrades it for us. So it's doing much the same thing, and we can see it through the UI as well. No longer running up away to 10. And I can hit -C to confirm the upgrade, and the upgrade's finished. So pretty much the same as we did in the UI, you can do through the CLI. So we trigger that with Jenkins, checking your Docker Compose and Rancher Compose into whatever you're going to use, Jenkins, hook, and we just run these Rancher up commands, and we can have CI and CD of anything that we want. So much the same way as you do with pretty much everything else, all completely capable in Rancher. One other thing I want to show you, seeing as I've got about 2 minutes, so I'm going to speed through it, is Rancher version 2. So this is Rancher 1.6. It's the current stable version. Rancher version 2 is coming out in the very near future. And it supports Kubernetes only because Kubernetes 1, the orchestration was. And I've set this one up already because it takes about 5 minutes to set up. I don't want to rush through it. But what it gives you is a very similar thing. So you have a cluster. And in that cluster you have nodes. And I've added a node. And if you want to add a node, you can go to nodes and you can click add and you get pretty much the same thing that you got. So you can use EC2 or Azure or other machine drivers. The really nice thing about Rancher 2, the thing I think is going to solve a lot of problems, let's go and add another cluster. And there are three ways to do it. You can have a Rancher Kubernetes engine cluster, you can launch a cloud cluster, or you can import an existing cluster. So the RKE cluster is the Rancher distribution of Kubernetes. Importing an existing cluster, you give it a kubeconfig file, goes away, grabs the cluster details, brings it into here. So now you could use this to bring all your Kubernetes clusters into one place. Launching a cloud cluster is pretty cool. So Google's container engine, give it a JSON file, and it will go ahead and start it all up for you and come back and tell you when it's done. Azure, that's not there yet. EKS, that's not there yet. But I think that's pretty exciting. I think it's great that we're going to be able to go have a good container engine GKE cluster, and be able to have an EKS cluster, we'll be able to have an AKS cluster, and we'll be able to bring them all into one centralized place. You won't have to have your developers signing to Google. Where does this service run? Where does this website run? Have we got this running across multiple clouds, or have we got this in one provider? You can completely abstract that away with Rancher version 2. So, yeah, currently in alpha, and they're aiming general availability for the end of this quarter. So, I'm looking forward to that. And so that concludes the demo as well. So, just to recap, Rancher solves a lot of problems running Kubernetes in production. And that's why we're using it at Billforward. That's why I think you should really consider it if you're looking at implementing Kubernetes in your organization, but you don't want the admin nightmare of a DIY vanilla Kubernetes setup. And I think I'm happy there if you want to move on to the next.
Brilliant. Martin, thank you.
Yeah, we go back to. Let's go back to a blank screen.
Yeah,
there we go.
cool.
Okay, do you have questions to this, or do you want to tie straight into the
Yeah, so I'm just thinking we're kind of.
Yeah, they're overlapping.
Well, yeah, kind of overlapping. So then we've got a question specifically from Martin. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't answer everything.
So is it possible for Rancher to interact with CCS directly? As a management front-end?
No. So.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sorry. So for those who didn't hear, the question was: is it possible for Rancher to interact with ECS?
Sorry, can you be quiet over there, please?
So the question was: is it possible for Rancher to interact with ECS? So can you bring those into management? The answer is no. So Kubernetes 1, right? Rancher is only going to support Kubernetes when it supports this importing cluster feature. At the moment, they support Cattle, Kubernetes, Mesos, and Swarm. They found that 80% of the users use Cattle, so it was default. 20% use Kubernetes. That doesn't leave much to run Mesos and Swarm, so some rounding error went for those. They've chosen to go pretty hard down the Kubernetes route.
Okay, next question. Beth?
Yeah. My question was from perspective of like, does Rancher 2.0 have kind of a support with Terraform or something?
Say again.
Is there a Terraform support for Rancher 2.0?
So where
is that Terraform support for Rancher 2.0?
Yeah, sorry, is there Terraform support? There's nothing official on that. So Rancher 2 is still only in a public alpha private beta. And there's been talk of orchestration, but knowing what I know about Rancher, I think that's going to leave that up to the community. The community's done pretty well. So our Rancher server is Terraform. We're using something off of Rancher's GitHub repo that people can contribute to, and it works well for us. So I fully expect there will be. There's nothing yet.
I have one more.
You have one.
Just quarter-wise, Rancher 2 end of March, is that correct?
Yeah, so the question was when's Rancher 2 coming out, and that's the plan, end of Q1.
Okay. Just make sure we're the quarters worth of life.
Yeah. Sorry, our quarters, end of March.
Yeah.
Next. From the back.
Does Rancher integrate well with AppArmor or SE Linux when it goes for spinning up new?
Yeah, so the question was, does Rancher integrate well with AppArmor or SE Linux? One of the nice things about Rancher is you can use custom hosts. So you can build out your own host, and all it has to do is run the agent. So as long as you permission the Rancher agent container to do all the things that you need it to do, so it needs to mount in the Run Rancher, it needs to be able to do things directly in the namespace. As long as you can permission the agent container to do that, then Rancher doesn't care.
I was thinking more of passing profiles, dedicated profiles for a container. Is that somewhere in there?
To be honest with you, I haven't come across it, so I couldn't say for sure. I imagine that's something you'd have to deal with at the container level itself, though. maybe you'd have some meta container that orchestrates that, but it's not built right into Rancher.
Another question over there? No?
So, I mean, container orchestration, that's quite simple. However, the inter-container communication and networking, that's much more complex.
Yep.
So what would you say, what actual Rancher is using for inter-container and inter-host communication, as well as how does it isolate, for example, different clusters when it comes to networking?
Okay, so it's not in Kubernetes. It's using. To be honest with you, I don't know which network overlay they're using, but they're enabling namespaces for that function.
I mean, you know, it's a CNI, so you got the class, and it's very flexible. You can use any.
You can use whatever you want. So I don't know which one they've opted for in Kubernetes. In Cattle, which is what we're using, they've implemented their own that essentially runs over IPsec between the hosts, and it sets up an IPsec router on each host. The IPsec router opens up a massive 172.
And what's that router?
Say again?
And that IPsec get what is it? Is it their own or is it?
It's their own. It's something the Rancher have brewed.
But that's Cattle anyway, isn't it? Which is kind of
that's going away. That'll be dead in 2 months. It'll still be in production, but they won't be concentrating on it, and they want everyone to move on as soon as possible.
Cool. Another question over here somewhere? You both already have one. Anybody else want to ask the first question before we get to these guys? Yeah, go on then.
Hi. You were just saying about at the start that there are pass options like GKE, and going this route with Rancher's more flexibility. Like, what flexibility did you need at such a
Yeah, so for everyone else, that was what flexibility did we gain from not going down GKE, right? We had our own servers in OpenStack. We wanted to be able to use those, so that was the first thing. Now, we could have deprecated that, we could have gone with GKE, and that would have been an expense, and we could have lived with that. We have some very specific stuff that we do where we talk to clients over using some on-premise equipment for the Wi-Fi part of our billing platform. We needed to be able to support that, and we couldn't do all of that in a fully managed environment. So for us, it came down to networking.
Okay, any more questions?
Seeing as you said that Kubernetes is one the sort of orchestration was, did you guys look into using Rancher to spin up your Kubernetes nodes and running normal Kubernetes?
Yeah, so when we started this, it was March, April, May that we were rolling it out, and in retrospect, it was obvious that Kubernetes had won.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it wasn't really. So we considered Mesosphere, and we considered Rancher, and we considered Cattle. And Rancher provided Cattle, we found that Cattle did everything we wanted. So since then, we've gone back and we've spun up some Kubernetes clusters to test things out in. But until, that would be a migration job, right? So we'd have to go from Cattle to Kubernetes, and then we're going to have to go to V2. So what we've decided to do is to do that in one move. So we're going to wait for V2 to become stable, and then we'll move over to Kubernetes then. But yeah, we're actually looking forward to it. There's plenty of features there, like namespaces for permissioning, being able to reuse hosts across clusters, because you can now do that. The way that Rancher does it is you have an application, you have another application, you want them to be completely separate, you bring up completely separate servers to do that.
Okay, cool. Any more? Ian?
Is there an
Last
open
one.
source upstream for Rancher?
It's all open source.
Oh, it is?
Yep, so they're on github.com/Rancher, everything is open source, everything is free, so the only thing that's not free is their paid support. And their free support in Slack is pretty good. The co-founder hangs out in Slack and he asks questions.
Cool. Okay, time for one more. Anybody? Go on.
Yeah. So on Kubernetes, we actually use Helm to deploy pods. So is there a similar concept that we can use for Rancher as well?
Yeah, so Rancher Cattle, which is going away, had Catalog, which was basically that. It was a big old catalog of Docker Compose and Rancher Compose YAML files. Rancher 2 will support Helm natively.
Brilliant. Martin, thank you very much. Okay, so how many